So does anybody still care about this show? Let's rant about it. All right, we're a little bit late on this, but we are here for the review of It, Welcome to Derry, Episode 4, The Great Swirling Apparatus of Our Planet's Function, which is a mouthful to say. So this episode continues a story of following all the different storylines. We see the kids with the aftermath of trying to get proof of the existence of Pennywise or the creature. Then we see continued efforts to try to discover the background of the history of the creature from the adult's perspective in regards to the Air Force Base. And then we also get a storyline where they're trying to prove the innocence of the father who is the projectionist at the movie theater. So again, we have all these storylines kind of going on. And I still don't think they mix up very well. Not really kind of sold in on them quite yet. But the big part of this episode, without getting into too many spoilers, is we do get kind of more background of this version's history of Pennywise and the It creature. So we get kind of a deep dive in kind of the Native American perspective of really what's going on and how Pennywise is kind of stuck in Derry in this area, and why hasn't it expanded on beyond these borders. So that's an interesting aspect of this episode. I did kind of enjoy that, even though it kind of, I think, deviates from the source material a little bit, but it makes sense within the world that they're building in this particular version of the universe. But I'm going to go kind of high level on all this. And upon reflection, I think the issue I have with prequels in general, especially of kind of long-standing and long-running franchises, and I would say this one has been around for quite a long period of time, even though it's really only basing off of the 2017 and I think 2019 versions of the movies, is that the stakes aren't really there, because all right, I'm going to spoil a little bit. So warning, spoilers a little bit of the It franchise and the overall Stephen King franchises is, all right, in this, we know Pennywise doesn't die. We know the It creature doesn't die because it needs to be alive for the 80s for the canon universe of the movies to take place. So that doesn't happen. We know the Hanlon family line continues because we see the Hanlons becoming a part of, again, the movie series. And then we have Dick Hallorann, who's a big piece of this universe, trying to use his shining powers to really discover the backstory of the creature and trying to locate it. And we know he survives because he needs to be part of the Shining franchise, which that takes place later in the universe. So there's all these major players and major characters we're seeing in the franchise that we just know survive, and at least aspects of them have to survive to continue the story. And the big one is your big bad, Pennywise, the It creature, whatever you want to call it, the Deadlights. Nothing ultimately happens to it. Maybe it gets contained by the end of the season. That might be a direction they're going. But ultimately, we know it survives and has to move on and at least go into the canonical 1980s within this universe, because currently this is set 1963, I believe, at least in the 1960s. And it has to make it to the 80s. So we know the stakes aren't really there in regards to the people that we're supposed to be rooting for really succeeding in the ultimate mission of containing, trapping, destroying, whatever you want to do with it. And that ultimately in the 80s, there isn't a big hubbub, again, spoilers for the movies, there isn't a big military presence. We don't see all these people trying to contain or trap the It creature. Again, Derry is sort of blinded society again in the movie versions, that the adults don't really see what's going on. And again, it's on the kids to really discover what's going on. And then ultimately the adult versions of the loser club has to take on Pennywise. So that's my big problem with this. It's I'm struggling to care because of all of that. Will that change over these last couple episodes of the season? I don't know. But that's kind of where I'm at. I think I'm just going to begrudgingly continue to watch the rest of the series and hopefully get some enjoyment. Again, the CGI is a big turnoff, and in this particular episode, they have one unique effect that is kind of interesting, especially with the way they do it with camera work and things like that. But ultimately, the scares mean nothing to me in this franchise so far and in this series. So it's a struggle. It's a struggle for me, at least at this point. So I think ultimately I'm going to give this particular episode a 2.5 out of 5 stars and hope that I find some level of enjoyment as we move forward. Because right now it's just kind of a struggle and I don't want to just give up on the series, but that might be a thing. I don't know. Again, it took me a while to get this review out, so that might be kind of telling about where I am on the franchise. But all right, let me know in the comments, what do you think? What do you think of this episode? What do you think of this series? What do you think of my thoughts on it? And whatever you want to talk about. Really appreciate any level of engagement you can really provide. Please like, comment, subscribe if you can. Really appreciate it. And yeah, so I hope you enjoy. And if I don't see you again, bye forever.